What's going on, guys? If you like this clip with Ben Pfeiffer where we talk about Tyrese Maxey, then please subscribe to the You Know Ball Patreon. We just launched it. You can watch the entire episode and listen to the entire episode on the You Know Ball Patreon only. It's the Tyrese Maxey Propaganda Hour. And we talked about everything about Tyrese Maxey, including what you see in this clip. And then we also discuss what his floor is, what his median outcome is, what his ceiling is as an NBA player. And then we wrapped it up by discussing whether we would have Maxey or we would rather have some other young burgeoning stars around the NBA. So once again, support if you can. I would really, really appreciate it and enjoy this clip. Maxey really popped with the Sixers was literally his first preseason game. They didn't have summer league that year. So it was the first preseason game. And I know this because I got a text from my dad and he was like, Maxey, thumbs up. I found the text and it's just the first time that he had ever texted me about Maxey. And it's just Maxey, thumbs up. And so he made a name for himself from the jump. First preseason game, played great in preseason. Anytime he got a chance to come into the game, he was a nice change of pace. And then famously drops like 39 points in his first career start against the Denver Nuggets.
I remember that game.
His usage, speaking of weird games, that was during the COVID year. There were 6 players. His usage was through the roof. Like there were signs early in Maxey's career that he was going to be a guy. Like even in the playoffs, game 6 against the Hawks, he kind of saved them with a few big pull-up threes in that game. Like the flashes that Maxey showed as a rookie and then carried over into his second year and got so much better from summer league to even when we recorded, we were a month into the season, not even a full month into the season when we recorded about Maxey last time. And he was coming off a 3-game stretch where he averaged 29 points a game on like 60% from the field. Ridiculous. When Joel Embiid was out.
Ridiculous. He's crazy.
And then from there, we saw him get, like, anytime Joel was out, this was there were 2 really good signs to me. And I think the reason why I love Maxey so much, other than everything that I've always loved about him, is the fact that he's very malleable. Like, he is just going to do what the team asks him to do. When Embiid's out, he can carry the team to a win against the Memphis Grizzlies when they were basically fully healthy. When Embiid is playing, he can play off of Embiid because he improved his shooting and he can run some actions with Embiid. And then when they trade for James Harden and his on-ball opportunities go down, he gets even better playing off the ball as a shooter, as a cutter, as someone that is just like shot out of an absolute cannon to the point where
it's so wild that there was a time when people were legitimately like thinking he wasn't a good shooter. Like, that was always so dumb, but like
it was dumb. But there was a 2-year window where the 3-point shot was in the 20s. So I think people were like, but as you said when you came on the podcast last time, you're like, he has every indicator that he's going to be a good shooter.
And it seems like he is. I mean, he shot like 40% from 3 last year, right?
42%. Yeah, 42 or 43%.
That's
like
crazy.
Yeah. And he was doing it on, I would say, difficult looks. Like, it's not like he was when he was wide open, he wasn't missing. He was shooting like 60% from the corners. He was insane on low volume, but 60% from the corners. And then the difficulty of shot, he added the pull-up 3-point game. He was just as efficient on his his pull-up threes as he was on his catch and shoot threes. And all of the long 2s were more efficient. He cut a little bit of the long floater out of his game, but his floaters were still incredibly efficient. His finishing around the rim, he really put it together as a scorer on the ball and off the ball.
Yeah, I mean, the shot profile didn't change that much aside from just like taking more threes and making more threes, which is what we wanted to see, really, which is really nice.
Exactly. Yeah. And realistically, I think what will happen this year is that due to the fact that they lost Danny Green, who was their highest volume shooter in the starting lineup, I think that there will be a little bit more of, okay, you put up 3 or 4 threes a game. Let's see if we can put up 5 or 6 threes a game. Let's see, now that you're getting more open looks, working off of the pick and roll with Joel and James Harden, you and PJ are going to be our corner shooters for spacing purposes when that is the action. And then when that is not the action, you're going to be running pick and roll yourself. You're going to be running bench units with Montrezl Harrell coming in off the bench to do some pick and roll with him along with James Harden as well. So I think that what they're going to be looking for from Maxey this upcoming year is there's 3 things that he needs to improve on still. I think the main thing is on ball passing and playmaking, which is something we talked about last time. But I'm not really worried about that. I don't think he's ever going to be an amazing passer and playmaker. I think he's going to be a passable, a good, solid one, but never like he's not going to be running the 30 pick and rolls a game. He's going to be, he'll be able to create some advantages for himself. He'll be able to, take advantage of the advantages that are created by Harden and Embiid, and maybe make those additional passes that he needs to make. But I think that the big thing for me this year is the defense, because of his size, like that is the one area that I just have concern when you get to the playoffs, because it's already kind of a weird fit defensively when you're trying to come up with a scheme when your center's Joel Embiid and he's a drop center, and then you have James Harden and everyone likes to switch, and then you have Tyrese Maxey, who's not great at fighting over screens yet, and he's also not great when he gets switched onto, like Jimmy Butler was able to take advantage of in that Heat series. So that's really the only area of concern for me. Pretty much everything else, I feel 100% confident in him.
Yeah, I mean, I think like with the passing, like you said, it's like there's a certain level of passer that Maxey needs to get to like be the best version of himself. And I think he's already like getting close. You can correct me. I'm pretty sure he did definitely improve in season as a passer last year.
100%. Yeah.
At least
especially off the dribble.
Yeah, for sure. And like, that's really the thing that like, he always had the flashes of like the interior passes. So that was like really the only pass he could do somewhat consistently in high school and college. And like, that seems to be improving. That like always takes time for young guards to get, or almost always, especially for the ones that aren't like elite passers. With how much he can get to the rim and how good he is at getting into the paint. That's going to be fun. And I know like it was like a contentious addition, but like, I think Trez is going to be really good for him. Especially like, I would imagine Trez is going to be a focal point in bench lineups, at least during the regular season. And I imagine Maxey would as well. And I think like there are like few guys that love to roll like Trez. Like,
exactly.
Like obviously like Embiid is great at it when he does it, but it's like not his primary usage. It never has been, and it probably shouldn't be. But like Trez is like a dog when he like he's a dog.
Of course,
on the roll.
That's
like,
his bread and butter.
Like that, like that's all. Like that's like his one really good skill, and it's kept him in the league like that, and like the offensive rebounding.
Yeah, and I never got a chance to do a full podcast on Trez, but like I love the addition for the regular season. I think he's a great regular season bench player. I just my concern is we literally know Doc got fired for playing him too much in the series, and that is like he's willing to like go down with the ship, Doc, and lose his job over this. And this is such an important year.
It's like the TikTok you did where it's like, yeah, Paul Reed, you played really well in the playoff. We're really like excited about your usefulness as like a versatile big. So we're gonna sign Montrezl Harrell and play him over you. And it's just like,
what the hell? Yeah. And like Montrez is a better player than Paul Reed right now, but if you want to develop a backup long term for Joel Embiid, wouldn't it make more sense to put in a guy who we know has that defensive versatility and offensively can do a lot of similar things to Montrez? I think the biggest thing with Paul Reed that he hopefully will learn over time, I hope whether it's with the Sixers or with another team, is just the fouling. And if he can figure that out, which sometimes players figure it out when they get later into their career, sometimes guys are Jaren Jackson Jr., where like it really does limit what he can do and that's someone I wanted to bring up later when we talk about some breakout players, but like you would hope that the reps that he gets, and this does not block the reps for him, because I would love to
imagine he gets better there. I mean,
I hope so. But like, I'm hoping that he gets the opportunity to prove it, because if you have a coach like Doc and then you have Montrez and he trusts Montrez, but like, once again, I think Montrez, like you said, like last time you came on, we talked about how Drummond and him were actually having a little bit of chemistry, running some pick and rolls. Yeah. And that's kind of what you're looking for from Montrez.
Yeah. And like Montrez is like actually going to set like insane screens.
Yeah.
Like, and get Maxey free. And he's just going to be a huge, like vocal target on the roll. And I can imagine that is a pairing that gets some love, because like I can totally imagine those two like running bench offense for like, even if Max is going to start, like I can imagine they're like being a lot of lineups where they want to utilize Maxey's like versatile scoring and Trez's like interior presence to just like kind of overwhelm benches. But yeah, I mean, like the passing is really cool. Like it is ridiculous how like Maxey was like a 20+ point scorer on like really impressive like efficiency at his age. Like I don't know like exactly what the next like steps for him are on offense outside of like the passing, but like it's so wow. It's like smiling through it all. Can't believe this is my life with
it truly is. And I actually have some propaganda that I want to drop here before we get into the floor, median, outcome, and ceiling. Okay, so you've seen some of the TikToks I've posted about this, right? With Maxey.
I'm a religious follower of the Uniball TikTok.
That's right. You should be too, folks. Check it out. Well, if you're listening to this, you subscribe to the Patreon, so you definitely are. But if you're not 45 years old, like I'm probably the oldest guy on TikTok. But I had a few Maxey.
I feel old on TikTok. Like,
and you're 20.
I'm 21.
Yeah, 21. There you go. I'm 32. So imagine how I feel in there. But so the thing about Maxey and the 20 points per game thing that you brought up, I went through and I looked up every player who has averaged 20 points per game or more before they turn 22 years old in the playoffs. So average 20 points a game before they turn 22. It was basically
very many. Right?
It was basically a list of the greatest players of all time. It was like, I'm not even exaggerating. It was like, there was one weird exception, which I'll bring up, but it was like Shaq, Jordan, Tatum. I'm trying to think of who else was on there. There was like Kobe, like there was a handful of guys. And then there were like some guys that didn't go down as some of the greatest players of all time, but made everyone on the list made multiple all-star teams except for 3 players on the list. And the one outlier who did make 2 all-star teams, by the way, was Luol Deng in terms of like, really? He averaged over 20 points a game.
That's cool. I had no idea.
Yeah. And Luol Deng, it's funny because I am very much like Luol Deng was very good. Like he made 2 all-star teams, multiple all-defense teams.
Deng was really good, but like not in like, I wouldn't have pegged him as like a high-volume early career scorer.
Exactly. Yeah. It's exactly what I said.
That's so wild. Maxey, like 20 a game, shooting 6 threes. If we go by regular season true shooting, he was like 7 points above. He's like 7 points above league average. Like it's unreal.
Almost 21 points a game, 3.9 assists, 3.5 rebounds against the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors, by the way, 2 of the best defenses in the NBA.
It's really cool. Just like cool to see that improvement, like be consistent over like playoffs and regular season, because like a lot of players can be really, especially young players, can be really inconsistent, either like good or bad. Like see early career Donovan Mitchell for like playoffs and regular season efficiency and volume. But Maxey's like is consistently improving and like was even better in the playoffs. Like it was awesome in the regular season and then it just got better. And then his like efficiency and scoring got even better in the playoffs. I don't mean to cliche, but like Maxey is just like, he's just a winner. Like he always has like exuded like winner energy. He's just like the kind
of vibes guy. It's a vibes thing.
He's the kind of guy that steps up. Like he just is. Like I don't even like there's just some things that, like you can just you just get it with some guys and some guys just get it. Yeah. And Maxey obviously gets it.
So like, I'll say this much. I think that I've never heard a player that was spoken positively about by all 3 of these people. Doc Rivers, James Harden, and Joel Embiid, all praising it. Like maybe one of them, but like Doc has said he's the hardest worker of any young player he's ever been around. Yeah, and he also said he has no anxiety in any moment, which I think was a little bit of a shot at Ben Simmons. I think it was a little bit of like he doesn't get. It definitely was. It definitely was a little shot. I think there was at least some subtext there, but. And then James Harden, like there were pictures today they posted, and James Harden, when he first walked in and saw Maxey, I guess they hadn't seen each other in a little bit, and they're back in Philly, and he was just like all smiles, and they were like hugging and like taking pictures together and shit. And I was like, And then Joel on top of that, just talking constantly, praising Maxey about how great he is and how much he stepped up for the team when they needed it and all this stuff. But going back to
Someone needs to do like empirical research on these like guys who were just like the most charismatic people and like being really good. Because like the other like example I always think of is Zion, at least, who
100%.
Like,
but the thing is,
like, unfortunate like slack, but like seems to be like a really, really, really good and well-liked dude like off the court.
Unless you're JJ Redick, then in that case you hate him. It does seem like that's such a unique scenario for him too, with the injuries and with the New Orleans thing. But
he's like one of the most unique basketball cases I've ever like
of any player ever. But going back to the players who had scored 20 points per game in the playoffs, the 3 players that have not made an all-star team at this point in their career were Jamal Murray, which I think at some point will make an all-star team.
Yeah, I would be pretty surprised if he never made an all-star game.
I think he'll make like probably two or 3. I mean, the West is super loaded with great guards, so it's hard there.
I mean, like he has like his bubble run was obviously all-star level impact.
Incredible.
I mean, that was the bubble, but still like
he was. I mean, well, and I believe that this season, if I remember correctly, this was the season before the bubble actually, when he averaged over 20 points per game in that 18-19, where he was a little bit inconsistent, but he was 22 years old. And then you had Anthony Edwards was the only other one other than him. And we know Ant is going to make some all-star teams. So you have those 3 as the only guys. So what I'm trying to get at here is that where we were at a year ago, where we were like, man, maybe this guy can be a star. Like I remember doing podcasts not that long ago, like not over a calendar year ago, where I was like, if you make the Ben Simmons trade, do you just push in all your chips and trade Maxey for Bradley Beal? And now I'm like, he might just be better than Bradley Beal. And like, he doesn't also make more money than any player in NBA history. So there's that element of it too. He's a great fit with the team. Yes. Yeah. Freezing Cold takes that one when Maxey signs a super max in 10 years.